The old records of the Moonlight Maze speak of treasures that could tempt even dying cultivators. Yet the Dark Hall has turned that hope into a deadly trap. With the Immortality Peach Tree hiding at the heart of a lethal formation, Chu Feng and the ancient era's elves have divided their forces, knowing a clash with the Dark Hall is inevitable. But before the true battle begins, Chu Feng reunites with the outrageous Wang Qiang, enters the maze among millions of cultivators, and finds himself challenged by a heavenly law palace elder who badly underestimates his world's spirit techniques. Somewhere between the teacups and the latest jianghu gossip, an old storyteller has already started laughing, because the moment Wang Qiang returns, peace was never going to survive the evening. Pull up a seat by the warm brazier, daoists, and enjoy the spectacle. This time, Chu Feng has brought a little surprise for anyone foolish enough to question his abilities. The chamber fell heavy with unease. Lord Liukang had already stopped the immediate disaster, yet his expression carried no relief. The threat buried inside the Moonlight Maze had merely been delayed, not erased.
Little friend Chu Feng, stopping them once will not solve the problem forever. As long as the Moon Demon remains within the Moonlight Maze, the Dark Hall can search for another way to awaken its demonic nature.
Chu Feng immediately understood what Lord Liukang had left unsaid. The ancient era's elves were not merely trying to suppress the Moon Demon. They wanted to transform the entire situation at its root.
So you intend to use the fire and ice pearls to transform the Moon Demon into the Moon Immortal, then have the Moon Immortal stand against the Dark Hall alongside you.
Precisely. Among all the choices before us, this is the best one. The Dark Hall has already become a calamity, hanging over the holy land of martialism. The longer they are allowed to exist, the greater the danger will become. They seized every ancient era's ferocious beast imprisoned within the blood-devouring killing formation. Yet they have not released them. No one knows what purpose those creatures are being saved for, nor what scheme the Dark Hall is preparing. But one fact is beyond doubt: the Dark Hall is extremely dangerous.
Chu Feng said nothing. He could not deny those words. The Dark Hall possessed knowledge of secrets hidden throughout the holy land of martialism, perhaps even secrets unknown to the great powers that had ruled there for generations. Whatever their true objective was, it could hardly bring peace. This was what made the Dark Hall frightening. Raw strength could be measured, but an enemy who understood ancient secrets, hidden formations, and forbidden locations possessed weapons that could not be judged by cultivation realm alone. Chu Feng was facing not merely powerful opponents, but opponents who knew how to turn the Holy Land itself into a weapon. Then Sume stepped forward. There was no hesitation in her eyes. She already understood the price that might have to be paid, yet she was willing to shoulder it.
Big brother Chu Feng, we know what has happened between you and the Dark Hall. Let us help you. If sacrificing our cultivation can help protect everyone and lessen the burden on you, then that sacrifice would have meaning.
Chu Feng, we cannot think only of ourselves. There are countless lives involved.
Their resolve left Chu Feng without a convincing reason to reject the plan. Yet acceptance did not make it painless. Watching two people precious to him willingly risk their cultivation and bodies for this struggle felt like a blade pressing against his heart. And Chu Feng understood the cruel truth behind that pain. If his strength had already reached the level needed to crush the Dark Hall by himself, Su Ru and Su Mei would never have needed to consider such a sacrifice. To him, their courage was admirable, but it was also another reminder of how desperately he still needed greater power. At last, Chu Feng suppressed the turmoil in his heart and turned his attention toward the battle ahead.
Then tell me the plan.
From what we know about the Moonlight Maze, the map distributed by the Dark Hall will lead everyone directly toward the Immortality Peach Tree.
The name instantly caught Chu Feng's attention.
The Immortality Peach Tree.
It is among the most renowned treasures hidden within the Moonlight Maze. A single Immortality Peach can increase a person's lifespan by 100 years.
The revelation stirred Chu Feng immediately. A treasure capable of extending life was far more than a rare cultivation resource. Several people he knew were already approaching the limits of their natural lifespans. If he could obtain those peaches, they might be granted precious additional years.
Such a treasure truly exists. The Immortality Peach Tree is real.
That is something I would also like confirmed.
It does exist, since the end of the ancient era. However, those who have actually laid eyes upon it are probably limited to our ancient era's elves and the 5 emperors.
The weaponry refinement Immortal's eyes brightened with unmistakable anticipation.
So it really exists. No wonder your ancient era's elves enjoy such extraordinary longevity.
Lord Liu Kang coughed awkwardly. His reaction alone made the answer obvious.
The benefit we received was not as extravagant as you imagine. Although the tree itself is enormous, its peaches ripen at different times. Our ancient era's elves enter the Moonlight Maze only once every 500 years, and each visit yields merely several hundred mature peaches.
Several hundred, and you call that little? Keeping a treasure like that entirely to yourselves is hardly generous.
Chu Feng unfolded the map distributed by the Dark Hall. Whatever secrecy had once protected the Immortality Peach Tree was now coming to an end.
It seems monopolizing it will no longer be possible. This map points everyone directly toward the Immortality Peach Tree.
His expression soon hardened. The Dark Hall had never spread that map out of kindness.
But their objective is to slaughter people within the Moonlight Maze. Are they planning an ambush at the Immortality Peach Tree?
Not merely an ambush. The region containing the Immortality Peach Tree is itself a killing formation. Once activated, everyone trapped inside it can be killed. And I believe the Dark Hall already knows how to activate it. That is precisely why they released the map and tempted everyone toward that location.
The trap was vicious because it exploited desire rather than force. The Dark Hall did not need to capture thousands of cultivators themselves. They only needed to reveal the location of a legendary treasure, then allow greed, desperation, and curiosity to drive the victims into the formation on their own.
Then that place is effectively a slaughter ground disguised as a treasure land.
The weaponry refinement Immortal, however, immediately thought of something else.
If such a killing formation is activated, what happens to the Immortality Peach Tree? Usually, the tree will not be destroyed as well.
No, that formation targets living intruders. It will not harm the Immortality Peach Tree. In fact, many killing formations throughout the Moonlight Maze work the same way. The intruders die, while the treasures remain untouched.
That detail revealed something chilling about the Moonlight Maze itself. Its ancient formations were not random hazards. They were defenses designed to preserve treasures while eliminating those who tried to seize them. The Dark Hall was simply turning those ancient safeguards into a weapon against the present generation.
Then how do we stop it?
Lord Liu Kang released a long sigh. This was where the true difficulty began.
I know where the core controlling that killing formation is hidden. Destroy the core, and the killing formation around the Immortality Peach Tree will collapse with it. Unfortunately, because of our own greed, we never destroyed it when we had the opportunity. And now, if we attempt to reach the core, the Dark Hall will almost certainly be waiting for us. A fierce confrontation can no longer be avoided.
Something immediately occurred to Chu Feng. Again and again, whenever the deepest mysteries of the Moonlight Maze were mentioned, another name seemed to stand above even the ancient era's elves.
How did you discover the location of that core? Was it Senior King Xianxia who told you?
Chu Feng's suspicion was simple. The deeper he ventured into these secrets, the clearer it became that King Xianxia's understanding of the Moonlight Maze had surpassed even that of the ancient era's elves.
It is embarrassing to admit, but yes, King Xianxia told us. After he defeated the ruler of our race at that time, and compelled us to share our ancient era's immortal ponds, he apparently felt some debt toward us. Because of that, he revealed the secret of the Immortality Peach Tree. King Xianxia was also the one who located the formation core. He could not destroy it immediately, because its defenses had to be worn down by a spirit formation over an immense period of time. At minimum, the process required 1,000 years. Therefore, he entrusted that knowledge to us. His intention was that once the 1,000 years had passed, we would destroy the core and eliminate the killing formation.
Sume did not soften her words simply because Lord Liukang was a senior figure among the ancient era's elves.
But because you wanted to keep the Immortality Peach Tree for yourselves, you ignored Senior King Xianxia's request.
That is true. Selfishness guided our choice, and there is nothing honorable about it.
The ancient era's elves were now confronting the consequences of that decision. What had once protected their exclusive access to a priceless treasure had become the very weapon the Dark Hall intended to use for mass slaughter. In the martial world, greed often carries a delayed price, and sometimes that price arrives generations later. Chu Feng did not continue judging the past. Regret could not dismantle a formation, nor could blame save those already walking toward the trap.
There is no value in dwelling on what has already happened. Our priority is stopping the Dark Hall before innocent people are killed. Lord Liukang, do you already have a concrete plan?
I do.
Lord Liukang then explained the strategy. The killing formation surrounding the Immortality Peach Tree and the core controlling that formation were not located in the same place. Because of that separation, their forces would have to divide. Chu Feng and the weaponry refinement immortal would travel with the countless cultivators, following the Dark Hall's map toward the Immortality Peach Tree. Their responsibility would be to rely on their world's spirit techniques and interfere with the killing formation, preventing or delaying its activation. Meanwhile, the ancient era's elves would march directly toward the hidden formation core with their army. If they could destroy that core, the entire killing formation would lose its foundation, and everyone around the Immortality Peach Tree would be freed from its threat. On paper, the strategy was straightforward. One force protected the victims, while the other destroyed the mechanism of the trap. But splitting their forces also meant splitting their strength. Chu Feng's group would be surrounded by unsuspecting cultivators, who might panic at any moment, while Lord Liukang's army would be marching directly toward the point the Dark Hall had the greatest reason to defend. No one in that chamber mistook simplicity for safety. The events at the blood-devouring killing formation had already proven that the Dark Hall possessed terrifying resources and experts who could not be underestimated. And this time, the Dark Hall had deliberately created an even greater disturbance. A map to the legendary Immortality Peach Tree had been cast into the martial world like bait into turbulent waters. There was no possibility that such an elaborate operation had been arranged without defenses. Most importantly, the place from which the killing formation could be activated was located beside the formation core itself. That meant the Dark Hall had every reason to station powerful forces there. The coming battle would therefore decide far more than control of a formation. If Lord Liukang's force failed, countless cultivators could die in an instant. If Chu Feng failed to restrain the formation long enough, even destroying the core later might come too late. Both groups would be fighting against the same enemy, but under entirely different pressures. And there was another unsettling question hanging over everything. If the Dark Hall had already anticipated the ancient era's elves, moving against the formation core. What kind of opponent had they prepared to receive them after the blood-devouring killing formation? Underestimating that hidden power even once could prove disastrous. Thus, before anyone had even entered the battlefield, the conclusion was already clear. There would be no peaceful solution, no path around the enemy, and no opportunity to retreat without abandoning countless lives. Within the depths of the Moonlight Maze, one side intended to turn an ancient treasure ground into a graveyard. The other was preparing to tear apart the trap before it could close. Whatever waited beside the formation core, Chu Feng and the ancient era's elves had already crossed the point where avoidance was possible. The battle ahead was not merely likely, it was unavoidable. The Moonlight Maze had yet to open, yet the air around Chu Feng already carried the weight of an approaching war. Before him stood Lord Liucong, the weaponry refinement immortal, Su Ro, Su Mei, and the elites of the ancient era's elves. Every path they chose from this moment onward could decide who lived, who died, and whether the Dark Hall scheme would succeed.
Are Lil Ru and Lil May going to follow the weaponry refinement immortal and me?
No, they will follow us. We will protect their safety.
Chu Feng's brows immediately tightened. Lord Liucong and the ancient era's elves were preparing to confront the Dark Hall directly. To send Su Ru and Su Mei with them meant placing the two women he cared about beside the very heart of the coming conflict. Would that truly be safe? Yet bringing Su Ru and Su Mei alongside himself and the weaponry refinement immortal was not necessarily safer. Chu Feng understood his own strength, but he also understood the danger concealed within the Moonlight Maze. He could not promise that nothing unexpected would happen. This was not a question of courage. It was a question of risk. Lord Liucong commanded the elite forces of the ancient era's elves, while Chu Feng's own route could lead into unknown dangers. Compared objectively, Su Ru and Su Mei would have greater protection beside the elves. But when the lives involved belonged to people close to him, cold logic alone could not erase Chu Feng's unease.
Little friend Chu Feng, rest assured, we will protect them with all our strength.
Lord Liucong had seen the worry in Chu Feng's eyes. His promise was simple, but coming from an expert of his standing, those words carried considerable weight. Then, as though a new possibility had suddenly taken shape in his mind, Chu Feng spoke.
Actually, I know of a shortcut to the Immortality Peach Tree.
A shortcut?
The people around him were startled. The Immortality Peach Tree was tied directly to the killing formation hidden within the Moonlight Maze. A faster path there could change their entire strategy.
Yes, if that killing formation can be contained without too much difficulty, there is no need for the weaponry refinement immortal to travel with me. I can take the shortcut, reach the Immortality Peach Tree first, and establish a spirit formation there. If everything goes as expected, I should be able to prevent the killing formation from activating.
Really?
Lord Liucong's interest sharpened at once. The weaponry refinement immortal was a rank 7 martial emperor. If such an expert accompanied the ancient era's elves to the formation's core, his strength could become a decisive weapon against the Dark Hall. From Lord Liucong's perspective, the ideal outcome was not merely to sabotage the killing formation. It was to crush the Dark Hall at the formation's core. Preventing the formation's activation was a safeguard against disaster. Destroying the enemy themselves was the true solution. And for that battle, every martial emperor mattered. A rank 7 martial emperor mattered enormously.
The shortcut is real. If I take it, I can reach the Immortality Peach Tree much faster than everyone following the ordinary route.
Chu Feng was not bluffing. The scroll given to him by the Compass Immortal also led toward the Immortality Peach Tree, but the route marked upon it was far shorter than the map the Dark Hall had deliberately spread among the crowd. More importantly, that very same shortcut passed through another destination. Chu Feng had been seeking from the beginning the hiding place of the Beast Emperor's treasures. For Chu Feng, this route solved two problems at once. His original purpose in entering the Moonlight Maze had been to obtain the Beast Emperor's treasures. Now the same path could also allow him to reach the Immortality Peach Tree ahead of the Dark Hole's timetable. One journey could fulfill his personal objective and protect countless lives. Because the shortcut was so much faster, Chu Feng believed he had enough time to claim the Beast Emperor's treasures along the way, continue onward to the Immortality Peach Tree, arrive before the others, and still establish the necessary spirit formation. And there was another reason behind his confidence. If the killing formation could be suppressed through world spirit techniques, Chu Feng trusted his own abilities to accomplish it. If it was fundamentally impossible to stop, then adding the weaponry refinement Immortal beside him would change nothing. That calculation revealed how Chu Feng fought even before a battle began. He did not simply gather every powerful ally around himself. He placed strength where it would produce the greatest result. The weaponry refinement Immortal could offer only limited help against an unstoppable formation. But on the battlefield, beside Lord Liucong, a rank 7 martial emperor could slaughter enemies and protect Su Ru and Su Mei at the same time. That last point mattered most to Chu Feng. If the weaponry refinement Immortal remained with Lord Liucong, Su Ru and Su Mei would possess yet another powerful shield.
Little friend, Chu Feng, how did you learn about this shortcut? Can you be certain it is genuine?
The weaponry refinement Immortal did not question Chu Feng out of distrust. The stakes were simply too high to gamble on an uncertain road.
Xianxia, take a look at this map. Do you think it is real?
Chu Feng immediately brought out the scroll left to him by the compass Immortal.
Actually, we also know of a shortcut. However, that pass can only be opened with a key. Little friend Chu Feng, could the shortcut you speak of be the same one we know?
Lord Liucong, have a look.
Chu Feng passed the map over. Lord Liucong examined it, and the tension in his expression immediately loosened.
Indeed, this is the one. This shortcut was left behind by King Xianxia. The map itself is the key. It is genuine.
The name King Xianxia alone carried immense weight. With Lord Liucong's confirmation, the final doubt surrounding the route disappeared.
With that map, little friend Chu Feng can reach the Immortality Peach Tree extremely quickly. If you establish the spirit formation there and prevent the killing formation from activating, the result may be even better.
Lord Liucong was visibly pleased. The strategic problem had suddenly untangled itself. Chu Feng could race toward the Immortality Peach Tree, while the weaponry refinement Immortal remained with the main force. Yet Su Mei was not thinking about formations, troop strength, or battlefield advantage. Her concern was much simpler.
But what if the Dark Hall also prepares for the unexpected and sends people to the Immortality Peach Tree?
The others were considering the greater battle. Su Mei was considering Chu Feng.
I do not believe they will send anyone there. Once the killing formation activates successfully, everyone near the Immortality Peach Tree will die. The Dark Hall should have no reason to send their own people, they're merely to perish. I also doubt many would willingly accept such a mission.
I still think Lil May's concern is reasonable. It is better to be cautious than regret it afterward.
Su Ru shared the same fear. They understood Chu Feng's ability better than most, yet that understanding did not make them careless. The Dark Hall had already shown that ordinary expectations could not always be trusted.
Rest assured, not even rank 7 martial emperors can harm me. I possess a treasure capable of killing rank 7 martial emperors.
Su Ru and Su Mei fell silent. Chu Feng's meaning was unmistakable. If even a rank 7 martial emperor could not threaten him, then only an existence at rank 8 martial emperor or beyond would present a truly overwhelming danger. Yet an expert of that level stood on the same general plane as Lord Liu Kang himself. If such a monster waited beside the Immortality Peach Tree, even the weaponry refinement immortal would be unable to reverse the situation. Their worries had not vanished, but the logic was difficult to refute.
In that case, little friend Chu Feng, an enormous responsibility rests upon you. You must be careful. Remember, at the crucial moment, saving yourself comes first.
Lord Liu Kang's warning was not casual concern. He knew exactly what Chu Feng represented. To the ancient era's elves, Chu Feng was no longer merely a gifted junior. He possessed the potential to become another figure like King Xianxia. Losing him for a single battle, no matter how important that battle appeared today, could mean sacrificing a future power capable of changing the entire holy land of martialism. In Lord Liu Kang's eyes, Chu Feng's life carried strategic value far beyond this expedition.
Lord Liu Kang, do not worry about me. I only have one request. If you encounter the Dark Hall, please show them no leniency.
Even without your request, we would show them none. I guarantee that every Dark Hall member we encounter will be killed.
A fierce light gathered within Chu Feng's gaze. Until now, the Dark Hole had acted from the shadows, laying schemes, causing disasters, and forcing him to endure one loss and danger after another. But this time was different.
Dark Hall, this time, I will make you suffer the consequences.
His fighting spirit burned hotter than before. This would be the first true confrontation between Chu Feng and the Dark Hall. Until this point, Chu Feng had largely been forced to react to the Dark Hall's schemes. Now he finally had an opportunity to strike back. That change from surviving their moves to actively ruining their plans made this battle more than another dangerous expedition. It was the beginning of retaliation. Once the plan was finalized, Chu Feng separated from the weaponry refinement immortal, Lord Liu Kang, Su Ro, Su Mei, and the ancient era's elves. Alone, he slipped into the enormous gathering of cultivators waiting for the Moonlight Maze to open. He did not use his true appearance. With enemies everywhere and the Dark Hall moving unseen, revealing himself openly would only invite unnecessary trouble. Thus, Chu Feng entered the crowd in disguise. Almost immediately, voices from nearby cultivators drifted into his ears. Did you hear what Chu Feng did? Had killed Xianxia with a single strike. I heard about it, but I didn't see it myself. What a pity. Xianxia truly disgraced himself. It's good that Chu Feng killed him. The confrontation with Xianxia had ended only recently, yet word of it had already swept through the surrounding region. Chu Feng was walking anonymously among people who were discussing his own deeds. Reputation in the martial world often traveled faster than the cultivator who earned it. One decisive victory could transform a name into legend before the victor had even left the battlefield. Chu Feng's single-strike killing of Xianxia was already becoming exactly that kind of story. Then another commotion suddenly exploded through the crowd. Look! There's some shameless fellow calling himself Emperor Kai's successor! He even claims he fought Chu Feng before and defeated him. Seriously, hurry! Let's see exactly who has enough nerve to make such a ridiculous claim. The crowd surged in one direction, like a tide suddenly pulled by an unseen force. Chu Feng stopped for a moment. Emperor Kai's successor. Someone who claimed to have defeated him. Even Chu Feng had to be curious. In the cultivation world, boasting was hardly rare, but borrowing the reputation of Emperor Kai, while using Chu Feng himself as proof of superiority, required an extraordinary level of confidence or shamelessness. The Moonlight Maze had not opened yet, and Chu Feng still had time. With nothing urgent to do, he followed the crowd. More than anything, he wanted to see the face of the man who dared announce that he had defeated Chu Feng. He pushed deeper into the gathering until the supposed successor of Emperor Kai finally entered his sight. The instant Chu Feng recognized him, his eyes lit up. Then he could no longer hold it in. Chu Feng burst into laughter. The strange man before the crowd appeared roughly the same age as Chu Feng. His appearance, however, was impossible to mistake. His hair stood out in sharp, hedgehog-like spikes. His frame was extremely thin, and his outfit was so bizarre that he looked as though he had deliberately declared war against ordinary fashion. He wore little more than flamboyantly patterned shorts and a pair of straw sandals whose colors did not even match, one red, the other green. Everything about him was eccentric, ridiculous, and utterly unforgettable. Even more strangely, the man spoke with a pronounced stutter, yet that did not stop him from standing before the crowd and boasting with astonishing confidence. Chu Feng knew him. His name was Wang Qiang. A genuine sense of delight rose within Chu Feng. Wang Qiang might have been one of the strangest people he had ever met, but his nature was not bad. Their previous encounter had left Chu Feng with a favorable impression of him. After being separated for so long, meeting Wang Qiang again here, among countless cultivators gathered before the Moonlight Maze, could only be called an unexpected stroke of fate. And there was something almost perfectly fitting about Wang Qiang's reappearance. Chu Feng had entered the crowd expecting enemies, schemes, and danger. Instead, the first familiar face he discovered was an old acquaintance loudly claiming to be Emperor Kai's successor, and apparently telling everyone that he had once defeated Chu Feng. But the humor lasted only a moment. Chu Feng's expression suddenly changed. He focused his perception upon Wang Qiang, attempting to see through the cultivation of this strange old acquaintance. And then Chu Feng discovered something he had not expected. Even with Chu Feng's current strength, he could not see through Wang Qiang's cultivation. That single discovery changed the meaning of the entire reunion. Wang Qiang's absurd appearance had not changed, and neither had his outrageous personality. But his cultivation had become unreadable, even to the present Chu Feng. Whatever had happened during their separation, Wang Qiang was clearly no longer someone who could be judged by appearances. And if the man calling himself Emperor Kai's successor truly possessed strength capable of hiding his cultivation from Chu Feng, then perhaps his ridiculous boasting concealed something far more serious. The Moonlight Maze had not even opened, yet another mystery had already stepped onto the stage. Chapter 1962, Entering the Maze. Outside the Moonlight Maze, countless cultivators gathered beneath an atmosphere thick with anticipation. Amid that sea of experts, Wang Qiang remained exactly as Chu Feng remembered him, loud, fearless, and shamelessly boasting about his own strength, as though the entire holy land of martialism were merely waiting to witness his brilliance. Yet the surrounding crowd reacted very differently. Hardly anyone believed a word Wang Qiang said. To most of them, he was nothing more than an outrageous madman whose boasting happened to provide some entertainment before the maze opened. Some cultivators even cursed Wang Qiang openly when his words touched upon Chu Feng. Saying this, Chu Feng found the scene rather amusing. Those insults revealed something important. Whether through admiration, gratitude, or Chu Feng standing among ordinary cultivators had already risen enormously. People who had never fought beside him were willing to defend his name against a stranger's mockery. Wang Qiang, however, possessed skin thicker than fortress walls. The insults simply rolled off him. Rather than retreat, he mocked his critics right back, trading words with the crowd as though he were enjoying every moment. Chu Feng did not approach him. He kept his true appearance concealed and remained buried within the multitude. The reason was simple. The Dark Hall might have planted people among these cultivators. Chu Feng knew that, for the moment, the Dark Hall did not intend to kill him, but temporary restraint was not the same as friendship. Sooner or later, the Dark Hall would regard Chu Feng as an enemy who had to be removed. Revealing himself without necessity would only surrender an advantage. His caution was not fear. It was battlefield discipline. Until he understood what forces were hiding around him, anonymity was another weapon. Thus Chu Feng remained hidden all the way until the long-awaited day arrived. The Moonlight Maze finally opened, and an enormous tide of cultivators surged toward its entrance. Chu Feng moved with them, silently crossing the threshold into one of the holy land of martialism's most mysterious forbidden grounds. The Moonlight Maze deserved its reputation. Legends surrounding it were countless, and most spoke of treasures buried within its depths, inheritances, rare resources, ancient opportunities, and fortunes capable of changing a cultivator's destiny overnight. Tens of millions had gathered for this opening. Even the very first wave entering the maze numbered more than 1 million people. Their cultivation levels varied wildly. Martial kings were present, and even martial lords, figures who, in a place like this, could scarcely be considered strong, had still dared to enter. Many knew perfectly well that their strength was inadequate, yet the dream of fortune proved stronger than caution. One lucky discovery could alter a family's future, raise a declining clan, or allow an ordinary cultivator to soar beyond the limits of his former life. That was the cruel attraction of ancient ruins. Weak cultivators understood the danger, but opportunity rarely waited for those who were completely prepared. In the martial world, greed and ambition often walked only half a step away from death. But the Moonlight Maze had not attracted only reckless fortune seekers. Experts from the 3 palaces, 4 clans, 9 powers, and numerous monstrous beast races were all present. Even more alarming were the secluded old monsters who had vanished from public sight for many years. Some of those elders possessed reputations known throughout the holy land of martialism. They were figures so accomplished that even the 3 palaces had once wished to recruit them. Yet now their lifespans were approaching their ends, and neither fame nor status could protect them from time. They had come seeking the legendary Immortality Peach Tree. There was only one problem: they did not actually know that the mysterious maps scattered by the Dark Hall led toward that very treasure. The Dark Hall had deliberately distributed the maps without revealing what waited at their destination. For dying experts, the promise of extended life outweighed almost every other concern. That made the Immortality Peach Tree more dangerous than an ordinary treasure. A weapon could inspire competition. The possibility of escaping death could make even ancient experts gamble everything. Chu Feng deliberately placed himself within the first great group entering the maze. He carried more than personal ambition on his shoulders. He intended to stop the enormous crowd from walking blindly toward death, and accomplishing that mission required him to remain close to the front. At first, their advance was surprisingly smooth. Then, somewhere along the route, one careless movement triggered a hidden world spirit formation. Spiritual power surged. The formation itself did not injure anyone, but the path ahead was abruptly sealed. In a single instant, the confidence of the vanguard turned into agitation. "Damn it!" exclamation. "That's a world spirit formation. We can't destroy it!" exclamation. "What are we supposed to do? Who triggered the trap? Come out." Anger spread quickly. Everyone wanted someone to blame, but naturally, no culprit volunteered. Whoever admitted responsibility would face more than harsh words. Surrounded by over 1 million treasure-hungry cultivators, such honesty might end with a beating, and perhaps without even an intact corpse. Then an elder from the Heavenly Law Palace stepped forward. His voice carried enough authority to quiet much of the surrounding chaos.
Everyone, do not panic. According to this old man's judgment, although this spirit formation is extremely powerful, it should disappear on its own after 72 hours. Since we cannot force our way through, we should wait patiently.
This elder was Yu Ling, one of the Heavenly Law Palace's management elders. He possessed the cultivation of a rank 6 martial emperor, and was also a snake mark royal cloak world spiritist. Within the holy land of martialism, his name carried considerable weight. His authority came from more than age. Rank 6 martial emperor cultivation, world spiritist attainments, and the backing of the Heavenly Law Palace formed a combination few present would casually challenge. When such a man declared the barrier impossible to bypass, many naturally accepted his conclusion. Elder Yu, you're a world spiritist. Are even you unable to do anything about this formation?
There is nothing I can do.
That answer produced a new wave of unease, not because 72 hours was especially long to cultivators of their level, but because of what those 72 hours would cost them. The people at the very front were no ordinary participants. Most were martial emperors or peak half-martial emperors, and virtually all possessed strength above rank 8 half-martial emperor. They were the elite spearhead of the first million-plus entrants. They had fought for the vanguard precisely because they wanted distance between themselves and everyone behind them. Fewer competitors meant more treasures, fewer disputes, and a greater chance of claiming whatever waited ahead before others even arrived. Their frustration was therefore rooted in self-interest, not simple impatience. If they waited 3 full days, the enormous mass behind them would catch up, erasing the advantage they had risked so much to obtain. In a treasure ground, position itself could be worth a fortune. After 72 hours, how many more people will have entered when everyone behind us catch up?
Apart from waiting, there is nothing else we can do.
Just then, from somewhere within the crowd came a familiar, halting voice.
I'll old fart. Yo, your WR wrong.
Elder Yu Ling's sword-like brows immediately tightened. Being contradicted before the crowd was already irritating. Being addressed as an old fart made the insult impossible to ignore.
What did you say?
I said you're wrong. There's a way. A draw dragon mark royal cloak world spiritist can break through that obstruction.
Dragon mark, royal cloak world spiritist, you make it sound so simple. Why don't you go and find one?
I know someone. He's a draw dragon mark royal cloak world spiritist. I believe he's right here.
The crowd immediately began searching through the possibilities. A dragon mark royal cloak world spiritist was no common existence, even among the countless experts gathered here. Are you talking about the weaponry refinement immortal?
No, he isn't the only one who came here.
Then another name surfaced, a name whose rise had shaken the younger generation and drawn the attention of powers throughout the holy land of martialism. You mean the demonic genius immortal Chu Feng. Many had personally seen Chu Feng arrive near the Moonlight Maze. They knew that besides his terrifying combat talent, Chu Feng was also a dragon mark royal cloak world spiritist.
That's right.
A faint laugh escaped Elder Yu Ling. There was no admiration within it, only disdain.
Chu Feng, demonic genius immortal, hey. After killing Xian Yuan, he was frightened away by the ancient era's elves. He doesn't even dare to show himself here. And even if he did come, what makes you think his world spirit techniques could break this formation?
Elder Yu Ling continued before the crowd could answer. Though he himself had not reached Dragon Mark Royal Cloak level, he understood that experts within the same world spiritist rank could possess vastly different levels of ability.
This formation is extraordinarily powerful. Even if every person here attacked together, we would still be unable to force it open. How could some mere brat possibly undo it? Believe whatever you wish about Chu Feng. This old man certainly will not believe he possesses such ability.
The contempt in Yu Ling's words went beyond professional skepticism. He was not merely questioning whether Chu Feng could solve the formation. He clearly held personal hostility toward him. And in front of so many cultivators, he had now placed his own reputation against Chu Feng's ability. Hidden within the crowd, Chu Feng had heard enough. Since entering the Moonlight Maze, he had carefully examined those around him and had detected no obvious members of the Dark Hall nearby. The immediate danger of exposing himself had therefore diminished. More importantly, Chu Feng had no intention of losing 72 precious hours. He urgently wanted to reach the Beast Emperor's treasures. Even without Yu Ling's provocation, remaining trapped here was unacceptable. The decision was therefore both strategic and personal. Revealing himself would sacrifice concealment, but breaking the barrier would preserve momentum, prevent the crowd from wasting 3 days, and move Chu Feng closer to his true objective. Yu Ling's mockery simply gave him one more reason to step forward. The disguise vanished. Before the astonished eyes of the surrounding cultivators, Chu Feng revealed his true appearance and calmly walked out from among them.
If I can undo the spirit formation, Elder, what will you do?
For Chu Feng, this was no empty challenge. Someone had questioned his ability before 1,000,000 cultivators, and now he intended to answer not with arguments, but with world spirit techniques. If Elder Yu Ling truly believed that a young dragon-mark royal cloak world spiritist could not accomplish what he could not, then the next few moments would decide whose understanding of the spirit formation was greater. And perhaps that was the most fitting way for Chu Feng to announce himself inside the Moonlight Maze. Not through reputation, not through rumor, but by stepping before an obstacle that an established heavenly law palace elder had declared impossible and preparing to break it. The instant Chu Feng stepped into view, the atmosphere around the crowd erupted. His name rolled through the gathered cultivators like thunder across a mountain range. Some shouted until their voices cracked, some trembled with excitement, and others stared at him with eyes shining from overwhelming emotion. In the present holy land of martialism, few names carried greater weight than Chu Feng. His deeds had spread from faction to faction, battlefield to battlefield, until countless cultivators had begun to regard him as one of the strongest candidates to stand above the heroes of this era. Such popularity was not merely admiration. In the martial world, reputation itself was a form of power. Every cheer for Chu Feng strengthened his standing, while silently diminishing the prestige of those accustomed to commanding everyone's attention. That was precisely why the members of the 4 great imperial clans looked uncomfortable. Yet among all those displeased faces, the expressions from the heavenly law palace were the darkest. As one of humanity's supreme powers, they were hardly accustomed to watching another person seize the center of the stage. Before anyone else could react, Wang Qiang charged toward Chu Feng with his usual reckless enthusiasm and threw both arms around him.
Oh, old BR, bro Chu Feng exclamation I my, missed you too, to death.
Chu Feng did not dodge. After so long apart, he had genuinely missed this shameless, eccentric fellow. Whatever Wang Qiang looked like to outsiders, Chu Feng had long since placed him among those he considered brothers. Wang Qiang, however, immediately pushed the reunion several steps too far. With exaggerated enthusiasm, he leaned closer as though determined to make the already ridiculous scene even more embarrassing.
Come, exclamation Jiv, give me a kiss, scram.
Chu Feng sent him away with a playful slap. Smiling as he did so, Wang Qiang immediately covered his cheek and put on a wounded expression so exaggerated that Chu Feng could only stare at him in speechless disbelief.
Old bro Chu Feng, why are you treating me lie? like this.
Chu Feng's smile deepened. There was still one matter he had not forgotten.
Who was it that claimed he defeated me in the sealing ancient village?
The truth was obvious. Wang Qiang had once taken the story of his own defeat and turned it completely upside down, loudly proclaiming that he had been the victor instead.
Heh, I missed you. Die, that's why I joked around. It was so I could lure you out.
The surrounding cultivators could no longer restrain themselves. Curses immediately flew toward Wang Qiang from every direction. Everyone had suspected his boast was nonsense, but hearing him admit it without the slightest shame was another matter entirely. Yet beneath the comedy lay something important. Chu Feng did not judge friendship according to reputation, elegance, or social approval. The crowd saw a shameless eccentric. Chu Feng remembered a man he had already accepted as a brother. That realization left many people confused. Chu Feng truly knew Wang Qiang, and judging from their behavior, the two were not merely acquaintances. They were genuinely close. Ignoring every insult thrown his way, Wang Qiang leaned toward Chu Feng and lowered his voice. Beneath his ridiculous manner, his attention had already returned to the matter that truly concerned him, the spirit formation.
Oh, old bro Chu Feng, are you certain that you can break open this spirit formation? About 90% certain.
90%. For an ordinary cultivator, that might already sound like confidence. Coming from Chu Feng, whose world spirit techniques had repeatedly overturned impossible situations, the words carried a completely different weight. He was not boasting, he was giving an assessment. Wang Qiang's eyes immediately brightened. Then, as though he had been waiting for nothing else, he spun around and pointed his attention straight at Elder Yu Ling of the Heavenly Law Palace.
Good exclamation all. Old fart exclamation E. Earlier you dared to boast sh, shamelessly that my old bro Chu Feng W would be unable to break through that spirit formation. Oh, however, if he can break thr through it, what are you going to dashell? Shouldn't you apologize?
The mood shifted instantly. Amusement disappeared from many faces. Elder Yu Ling was no nameless cultivator. He was a grand figure from one of the greatest human powers in the holy land of martialism. Yet Wang Qiang had just addressed him without the slightest restraint. Weapons flashed among the Heavenly Law Palace disciples and elders as anger surged through their ranks.
Watch the way you speak! Are you trying to die?
Before the confrontation could erupt, Elder Yu Ling raised a hand and restrained his people. A smile appeared on his face, but there was little warmth behind it.
Little friend Chu Feng, is that ignorant little bastard really your friend?
The meaning behind the question was unmistakable. Yu Ling was willing to restrain himself only if Wang Qiang stood beneath Chu Feng's protection. If not, Wang Qiang's insult would become the excuse for punishment. Even his supposedly courteous tone could not hide the contempt contained in the words he chose. Wang Qiang immediately turned toward Chu Feng. He insisted he feared no one, even declaring his identity as Emperor Kai's successor. Yet his expression changed dramatically when he asked Chu Feng how he truly regarded him.
Old bro Chu Feng, I'm not afraid of that old fart. No matter what, I am Emperor Kai's successor. But in my heart, you, Chu Feng, are my brother. I wonder what do you consider me to be in your heart? You can just tell the truth.
His eyes even glistened as he waited, making it obvious that beneath all his shameless theatrics, he genuinely wanted Chu Feng to acknowledge their bond. Chu Feng could only shake his head and smile. Time had passed, circumstances had changed, but Wang Qiang remained unmistakably Wang Qiang.
It is true. Wang Qiang is my friend.
Elder Yu Ling seized the opportunity to portray himself as magnanimous.
Since that's the case, this old man will not bicker with him over his disrespect. However, little friend Chu Feng, since he is your friend, you should teach him some manners. If he continues behaving this way, sooner or later he will suffer for it. After all, not everyone is as broad-hearted as me, willing to overlook the behavior of a little bastard like him.
The insult remained wrapped in courtesy, but Chu Feng was not fooled. Yu Ling had spoken against him before Chu Feng appeared, and now he was trying to stand on moral high ground simply because the situation had changed.
It is true that Wang Qiang is my friend. However, how he conducts himself is his own matter. I, Chu Feng, will not control him, nor do I possess the ability to do so.
Chu Feng's response was calm, but the position behind it was firm. He accepted Wang Qiang as a friend, without assuming the right to command him. More importantly, he refused to help Yu Ling disguise an insult as benevolent advice. A burst of applause suddenly broke the tension.
Well spoken, little friend Chu Feng. What you said is truly well spoken.
The speaker was a fierce-looking elder with striking yellow hair. His cultivation was formidable rank, 6 martial emperor, equal in realm to Elder Yu Ling. From the discussions spreading through the crowd, Chu Feng learned his identity. The man was Huang Guan, one of the management elders of the Underworld Palace, better known throughout the martial world by the imposing nickname Yellow-Haired Demon. With Huang Guan entering the exchange, this was no longer merely Wang Qiang provoking Yu Ling. 2 rank 6 martial emperors from 2 enormous powers were now standing on opposite sides of the dispute. A few careless words could easily become a contest of prestige between the Underworld Palace and the Heavenly Law Palace. Elder Yu Ling gave a cold snort. His displeasure was no longer concealed. Huang Guan's open approval of Chu Feng had struck directly at his pride. Wang Qiang, naturally, had no intention of allowing the matter to end there. Once again he addressed Yu Ling, only this time his proposed apology was far more outrageous.
Old Phi, or exclamation I'm asking you here exclamation if my old bro Chu Feng is able to break thaw, that spirit formation, are you willing to eat feces as an apology?
The challenge struck Yu Ling's dignity like a hammer.
Have you grown tired of living?
Before Yu Ling could press the matter further, Huang Guan stepped in once again.
Yu Ling, although little friend, Wang Qiang's words are rather vulgar. I do not believe his reasoning is entirely unjustified. Earlier, you clearly declared that little friend Chu Feng would be unable to undo that spirit formation. Everyone present heard those words, did they not?
Right. The Underworld Palace responded first, but they were far from alone. Voices soon rose from other parts of the gathering, confirming what Yu Ling had said earlier. Chu Feng, standing among the people, had already reached extraordinary heights. Those who feared the Heavenly Law Palace remained silent, but those with enough courage were more than willing to speak for him. And this was where Yu Ling's earlier arrogance began to turn against him. He had spoken when Chu Feng was absent, certain there would be no immediate consequence. Now Chu Feng stood before him with 90% confidence in breaking the formation. Huang Guan had publicly challenged his words, and the crowd itself had become witnesses. If Chu Feng truly shattered that spirit formation, the greater humiliation might not come from Wang Qiang's ridiculous proposed apology at all. It would come from proving, before countless eyes, that one of the Heavenly Law Palace's great elders had judged Chu Feng completely wrong. The dispute before the sealed passage had already drawn countless eyes. Elder Huang Guan seized upon the promise Elder Yu Ling had made and turned toward the surrounding cultivators. With so many witnesses present, there was no longer any room for anyone to quietly withdraw from his own words.
Everyone here heard what was said. If little friend Chu Feng truly breaks that spirit formation, then even if Elder Yu Ling need not carry out that ridiculous punishment, he should at least offer an apology. Everyone, am I right?
Right.
The answer exploded through the Moonlight Maze like thunder. It was louder than before, and every echo seemed to strike directly against Elder Yu Ling's dignity. His complexion immediately turned ugly. He was, after all, a grand management elder of the Heavenly Law Palace. Chu Feng might possess extraordinary talent, but in Yu Ling's eyes, he was still merely a junior. Being forced to publicly apologize to someone of the younger generation over a few contemptuous remarks was something his pride found almost impossible to accept. This was no longer merely an argument over a spirit formation. It had become a contest of status and face. In the martial world, cultivation granted power, but reputation determined how that power was perceived. For an elder of the Heavenly Law Palace to bow his head before a junior would strike directly at the authority he had spent years building. Wang Qiang, naturally, had no intention of allowing the tense atmosphere to remain dignified. He hurried over to Elder Huang Guan, praising the Underworld Palace Elder, while mercilessly mocking Yu Ling at the same time.
Elder Huang Guan's reasoning is much better. You're far better than that all, old fart.
Every time Wang Qiang respectfully called Huang Guan an elder, while casually reducing Yu Ling to an old fart, the management elder's expression darkened another shade. At last, unwilling to appear afraid of the wager before millions of witnesses, Elder Yu Ling hardened his expression and made his decision.
Very well. If little friend Chu Feng can truly break that spirit formation, this old man will publicly apologize to him.
But the moment those words left his mouth, Yu Ling raised a hand and pointed directly at Wang Qiang. He was not prepared to accept humiliation without placing something on the other side of the scale.
However, if little friend Chu Feng fails to break it, that little bastard must kneel down and apologize to me.
Your exclamation, I'll apologize. It's not like I'm afraid of you.
Wang Qiang accepted without the slightest hesitation. Yet before the wager could be settled, Chu Feng calmly stepped forward and changed the terms.
Elder Yu Ling, you don't need to apologize to me. But if I succeed, you must apologize to my friend.
Why should I?
Yu Ling frowned deeply. He was not alone in his confusion. Everyone had heard him ridicule Chu Feng earlier, so an apology to Chu Feng would have been understandable. Yet Chu Feng had suddenly shifted the entire matter toward Wang Qiang.
Wang Qiang is still a member of the younger generation. Even if he speaks nonsense from time to time, you are his senior. You should possess enough tolerance to overlook it. Yet you, an elder of the Heavenly Law Palace, called a junior a little bastard. That was an insult towards someone of the younger generation, and such conduct is unbefitting of a senior.
Understanding immediately swept across the crowd. Their admiration for Chu Feng climbed once more. Rather than using the wager to demand satisfaction for himself, he had used it to defend his friend. That single choice revealed something more valuable than world spirit techniques. Chu Feng understood loyalty. He could endure an insult directed at himself, but once Elder Yu Ling degraded Wang Qiang from the position of a senior, Chu Feng refused to ignore it. That distinction was precisely why the crowd's respect shifted from admiration of his talent to admiration of his character. Wang Qiang appeared deeply moved. He dramatically rubbed at his eyes and nose as though fighting back tears. Yet there were no tears and no runny nose at all. As usual, the fellow was simply putting on a performance. Elder Huang Guan was the first to openly approve. He began applauding, and his support rapidly spread throughout the surrounding cultivators.
Well spoken. What little friend Chu Feng said is entirely reasonable.
Applause rose from every direction. Yet to Elder Yu Ling, each clap sounded less like approval for Chu Feng and more like another blow against himself. His face turned ashen. He had never imagined that one junior could command such extraordinary support. Under ordinary circumstances, countless people would seek to flatter a management elder of the Heavenly Law Palace. When he spoke, others rarely dared contradict him. But today was different. Before this sea of cultivators, Yu Ling had somehow lost the support of the masses to Chu Feng. And that loss mattered. Yu Ling possessed greater seniority, a terrifying background, and the prestige of the Heavenly Law Palace. Chu Feng possessed none of those advantages. Yet through ability, composure, and loyalty, he had shifted the crowd's judgment. In this moment, influence was no longer following rank, it was following the person who had earned it. Still, Yu Ling had one remaining source of confidence. He simply did not believe Chu Feng possessed enough world spiritist ability to destroy the formation.
Little friend, Chu Feng, since you're determined to stand up for your friend, I'll give you that face and accept your condition. I merely fear that you won't be capable of accomplishing it, and your friend will suffer because of you instead.
The words were fierce, but the reasoning behind them was simple. Yu Ling had initially resisted because yielding to a junior would damage his pride. Now, however, he believed the wager offered him an opportunity to reverse everything. If Chu Feng failed, the crowd's confidence in him would collapse. Wang Qiang would be forced to kneel, and Yu Ling could make everyone believe that the humiliation had been caused by Chu Feng's own arrogance. From Yu Ling's perspective, this was a calculated gamble. He had already experienced the formation's strength and believed it essentially indestructible. Thus, he was not merely betting against Chu Feng, he was betting on his own understanding of world spirit techniques. The problem was that Chu Feng had already been preparing, while everyone else was arguing. Chu Feng merely smiled.
It seems I will have to disappoint Elder Yu Ling.
Then Chu Feng flipped his palm. Whoosh! A ray of light shot from his hand like an arrow and plunged directly into the supposedly indestructible world spirit formation. The formation trembled violently. Spiritual energy rippled across its surface. The barrier that had resisted the gathered experts began to fade, layer after layers, until within the blink of an eye it vanished completely. Zigzag. Silence descended for a heartbeat. Many had believed Chu Feng might ultimately succeed, but almost no one had imagined that he would break the formation with what appeared to be a single effortless motion. Elder Yu Ling was stunned. So were nearly all those present. Every one of them understood just how formidable that barrier had been because they had personally tested it. To them, it had seemed practically impossible to destroy. Yet Chu Feng had merely raised his hand, and the obstacle was gone. This was the terrifying advantage of a true world spiritist. Raw martial power was not always the answer. A formation followed its own structure, energy circulation, and weaknesses. Once those principles were understood, and the correct counterformation was prepared, something that seemed overwhelmingly powerful could collapse in a single decisive instant. And from the crowd's perspective, the spectacle looked even more monstrous than it truly was. They saw only Chu Feng's raised palm and the formation's immediate destruction. They did not see the preparation hidden behind that gesture. That difference between what happened and what everyone believed happened only made Chu Feng's reputation soar higher. Then the silence shattered. A tremendous roar of celebration erupted from the crowd. The younger generation of the underworld palace rushed toward Chu Feng, surrounded him, and lifted him into the air again and again.
Chu Feng, Chu Feng, Chu Feng.
More voices joined them. Soon, Chu Feng's name was rolling through that region of the Moonlight Maze like endless thunder. The excitement was genuine. Breaking the formation harmed none of them. It opened the path ahead and benefited everyone present. Chu Feng had not merely won a wager. He had removed an obstacle that had stopped millions. But amid the cheers, only Chu Feng himself knew the truth behind that seemingly miraculous single move. While Wang Qiang had been arguing with Elder Yu Ling, Chu Feng had not been standing idle. He had already been constructing the countermeasure within his palm, silently preparing the spirit formation needed to undo the barrier. Thus, when the decisive moment arrived, all the preparation had already been completed. What everyone saw as an instantaneous breakthrough was actually the final stroke of work Chu Feng had begun long before he moved. This detail makes the feat more impressive, not less. Chu Feng did not rely on blind confidence. While others wasted time arguing, he analyzed the formation, prepared his method, and waited until the perfect moment to reveal it. His victory came from technique, combined with patience and timing. When the celebration finally settled, Chu Feng turned his attention back toward Elder Yu Ling.
Elder Yu Ling, shouldn't you honor your promise now?
In an instant, several million gazes shifted toward the management elder of the Heavenly Law Palace. The pressure was immense. These people could not threaten Yu Ling's cultivation, but their collective attention trapped him more effectively than any physical cage. He had made the promise publicly. Refusing now would damage the very reputation he had fought so hard to protect. Finally, with obvious reluctance, Elder Yu Ling forced the words out in a voice so soft that it almost vanished beneath the surrounding noise.
Little friend, Wang Qiang, I'm sorry.
Wang Qiang immediately raised a hand to his ear.
What did you say? Can't hear you.
Yu Ling's anger surged instantly. His eyes widened, and fury threatened to burst through the restraint he had barely maintained.
You're going too far.
He knew perfectly well that his apology had been quiet, but he was equally certain Wang Qiang had heard every word. Before Yu Ling could push the matter further, Chu Feng calmly intervened once again.
Elder Yu Ling, your voice really was too soft. Forget Wang Qiang, even I couldn't hear you clearly. Since you're apologizing, I think you should show some sincerity. Everyone, don't you agree? That's right.
The response crashed down upon Yu Ling once more. After Chu Feng broke the formation, practically everyone outside the Heavenly Law Palace had shifted to his side. Even ancient experts who had secluded themselves within the holy land of martialism for years were now cheering for him. That was the true consequence of Chu Feng's single move. He had not only dismantled a world spirit formation, he had shattered Yu Ling's control over the atmosphere. A few moments earlier, Yu Ling's title had commanded respect. Now, Chu Feng's proven ability commanded something stronger: voluntary support. Elder Yu Ling trembled with anger. As a management elder of the Heavenly Law Palace, he was accustomed to others yielding before him. Yet now an enormous crowd was openly pressuring him to sincerely apologize to a junior. And perhaps that humiliation cut deeper than losing the wager itself. Yu Ling had underestimated Chu Feng's world spirit techniques, underestimated his preparation, and most dangerously of all, underestimated his ability to win people's hearts. If this confrontation proved anything, it was that Chu Feng's rise was no longer something powerful elders could dismiss simply because of his age.